Sit serious, mta. Professional, but serious.
Dairaramo irisaruzu daidama kore mazana mana sawira huya timborangana timboronga tichine mkana.
Hello Zimbabwe football fans, welcome to another exciting episode of In Touch with the Legend. Yes, your favorite footballing show where we bring you a Zimbabwe footballing legend to come here to share with us their football journey. Today I've got a very interesting legend, a very popular legend, a legend who has done a lot for Zimbabwean football, and you will get to know about it as we go along. We've got former Black Aces and former Rio de Janeiro footballer Nigel Munyati, now working for the SRC and a very high profile football administrator in the country. He's right here to share with us his football journey. Come on, Nigel. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's been a very busy beginning of the year.
And
yes. I got sick for a while, so that also kind of took some of my time.
But you're okay now?
I'm good.
We're happy you are here. And a lot of people have been asking, when are you bringing Nigel Munyati? We want to know the history. They know what you have done for Zimbabwean football all through these years, and they want to know where it all began. So I think
you know what, Alois, I have a very interesting football story to tell.
Yeah. We're here to hear.
Starting off, I was born in Highfield. Well, I was born at Gomo, Harare Central Hospital. Gomo, in 1959, sorry.
Yeah.
Which makes me 65 years old now.
Yeah.
I should be retired.
Yeah. But you're still looking fit and strong.
I've got a lot of going to do.
You can't stop now.
Yeah. I was born in Highfield. We lived in Highfield. Area called Kumastones. 6 pounds. The time I went to school, 1965, for my grade 1 or sub A then. That's the time when there was a lot of turmoil, political turmoil. In Zimbabwe, particularly in Highfield. ZANU had just been formed, and there was a lot of violence between ZANU and ZAPU, and we were victims of that, such that my first grade, I did my first grade in 3 different schools. First term I was at Kuwangira, second term I went to Mofu, third term I went to Mbizi Primary School. Because when I started first term at Kuwangira, there were riots in Highfield. So that school was because it's right there in Machipisa shopping center area. So that one was targeted, and the school was closed. And why did I go there, given that I'm from Old Highfield? It's a long way. That's because my mother started the first nursery school for black children in Zimbabwe. At the Highfield Community Center. She's a pioneer in early childhood development. So I went to the 3 different schools, and then eventually for sub B, in the second year now, they managed to place me at Chipembere Primary School, which was just walking distance from our house, and was really where I should have gone in the first place. But because of the turmoil, my mother wanted to be near her in case things
because of the preschool.
Yes. So that's why I did primary school from sub B until grade 7 at Chipembere Primary School. And then I went to Mazoe Secondary School for my secondary school education. Boarding school.
Yeah.
And then from there I went to university. Nice. Actually,
well,
actually Mazoe wasn't in that class, and in fact my friends
Yeah.
who I grew up with. They went to St. Ignatius, they went to
Oh,
Goromonzi,
yes.
and so they would actually make fun of me.
Wena Mazoe.
Mazoe, And so you'll find at Mazoe, boys from the urban areas were in the minority. Most of the students were from Chiweshe, what was called Sipolilo then, Mount Darwin, and so exactly.
Yeah.
So it was actually a very difficult experience. Maybe I should come back to it later.
Okay.
But basically, being in the minority, the boys from the rural areas wanted to show us the urbanites that they're saying Dine kudzimba. And that meant a lot.
Yeah.
But let me go back to my primary school days and soccer. I was passionate, and I still am passionate about soccer. I started playing football, I guess, from when I could walk. I also had a very influential family in terms of sport. I was born into a family of 7, 5 boys and 2 girls. The eldest, Rodwell, and then Michael. Most of you would know Mike. He was a TV
Munyati.
personality.
Yes, Mike is actually your brother.
Yes, my brother.
Yeah,
is
we know
second
Mike
born
from the
in my
television.
family. Yeah.
Yeah, Mike, the newsreader.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there was Peter. Peter was mentally handicapped, so most people never got to know him. And then I was the 4th born. And then my sister Moira came after me. And then at the end, twins, a boy and a girl, Tapio and Tafaz.
Oh, okay.
So through my brothers, we played football all the time.
Yeah.
But more interestingly, we also had, in those days, it's a pity. Nowadays, the children growing up don't have the same experiences that we had.
know.
We used to have teams. Each neighborhood had its own team.
Same, in the street.
My 6 pounds, my A, my B, B, and we would have, well organized.
Administrators, my players, organized.
Exactly.
But it was weird how we used to do it, to be honest, because fight on the game we na 3.
Yeah.
But if not 3 mune saninga ariko. But kwanga kusina WhatsApp, kwanga kusina phone.
But because if you miss out, it's your loss. So you made sure you were there.
Yeah.
And my friends growing up as boys, I had a friend like Mabena Moyo, the current acting town clerk, my cousin Ransom, Charles Jangano of the Harare Mambo.
Or the guy my drums. Harare Mambo.
We were neighbors. They lived next door to us. So
wow, interesting.
With a very rich
I love that band.
Environment growing up. Now, one thing that really happened and didn't change, it transformed my life to some extent, was I broke another kid's leg playing soccer. And I think I was like 10, 11 years old. Yeah. And at that time, you're so young and it's unheard of breaking another kid's leg, But I did. And I paid for it. Kids can be really horrible. Yeah. Because now for a long time, I couldn't play with my team. For the other teams, they would say, kana Nigel Munyati. So I'd be sitting there watching my teammates play and wishing I could be there, But as time would have it, the same guy broke his leg again, about a few months, a year later. Which I know might sound cruel, but I actually celebrated. I said, yes. So, it's not me, and I think it's true. He probably had a health issue where he probably had brittle bones and so on. So that was it. But to me,
so is that did that make it easy for you to get readmitted?
After that, it was almost like a FIFA tribunal readmitting me into football. So I started playing again, and it was fun. There was more fun than anything else in
That
our
seriousness,
sport.
like
and
trying to
there were
win,
never fights between clubs, except there's one or two that were
Yeah.
known for being violent.
Also, I don't know.
Iowa, they didn't, and in those days you had bricks as goalposts,
yeah.
which obviously brought a lot of disagreement as to whether was it stick-in or
Nekuti get the digi.
Yeah,
Keep
you
on
know.
beating up. Keep on sort of like that.
and who's measuring, how big are his
Mambo
feet.
mira bora, mambo na get the digi, guys.
But that was fun. I think that was all part of enjoying playing the game, and we learned a lot. I mean, we played with all different kinds of balls. Starting with chikweshe. There were times when you didn't have a football, you'd make your own paper and plastic bags, and some of our guys became quite adept at doing it. There were guys who were renowned for making balls.
For making nice ones.
That bounce.
Right to Pamba.
Yeah. And sometimes, you'd even play a tennis ball. And we learned, we used to play tennis with a tennis ball, not for the serious matches, but if you're at home, there's 4 or 5 of you, and you have a tennis ball, we would play. And in hindsight, you realize that playing with a small ball in small-sided games actually helped us develop skills.
We were developing ourselves back then.
Yeah.
Mazano shama books man, shabu marondo, chichi, but
Rondo, we used to call it, chamama, chomama, we
choms.
still do.
Okay, let's call it choms. Let's call it choms. Yeah.
But it's a concept, and playing my matches, the rules were, you'd agree, 4 change gates. Eight-rapera and things like that, So, and then at school I also played. At school I played from probably, the under-13s. Did we have under-10s then? Probably. But I played all the way from the smallest of the age groups until, when I was grade 7, I was playing for the first team. And I was at our school. You had players. Now he's late now, but a very good friend was David Yogimandigora.
Oh, okay.
We went to the same school. He was about a year or so older, so he was always in the next team. But beyond that, beyond school, we also. Before I move away from that, I need to tell you a story. Primary school, we used to play barefoot. But one year, the school decided to buy us football boots. This was a major achievement for the school. So the first match we played, those football boots. First half, it was terrible. We could not even run. We couldn't even kick the ball properly. Halftime, our coach, teacher said,
I can already imagine.
Take off the boots. I went back to playing barefoot and we won the match. So it took us a while before we could get used to playing in the boots. But that was progress, And, I remember, the type of boots that they were. If they were to be used to do it today, they would be considered illegal. Some of them almost had, came up to our ankles.
Yes,
like those rugby boots and so on, And some even had a steel toe. And for some reason, for some guys, it was necessary to punish the opposition by having boots like that. But that's all toughened us.
Ndo zvakazotanga kuunza marefu kauti mbotanga ambomisa cheka mabhutsi mazano azvaitika because it's normal kuti arawaiti everyone achipinda wemozariswa mabhutsi.
Now we also used to have very organized social club football. The local authorities, local municipalities had youth centers. Like in Highfield, you had the one where I lived called Machembere. In the old Highfield section. In what we used to call CJ, Cyril Jennings Hall. they also had a club called Swallows. Ours was called Machembere because the center used to be an old people's home.
Oh,
So
okay,
our teams were called Machembere. In the police camp, they also had a very well organized football system. Even the grounds of the quality that you don't find today.
They used to maintain them.
That's where we play players like Yogi, for example. His father was a police officer, so he lived in the police camp and he played for the police team. I actually joined it at some stage as well. And then you had, like in Zororo, there was another club. That's where players like Sheki Tauro and his elder brother Damiano used to play.
We never heard about Damiano. What happened to Damiano?
I don't know, because to me he was, in my opinion, a better player than Sheki.
Yeah, we never heard about him.
He had serious body size and so on. I don't know whether they're still alive and whatever happened to his career, but he got lost in the system.
I hope he's alive. Maybe we can get to look for him and bring him here to talk about. Guys, is Damiano Tauro still alive? If anyone knows about him, please let us know. Because I know our listeners, our viewers, they always have the information. They will be telling us what is it. Yeah. So guys, tell us about Damiano Tauro from Zororo. Want to know if he's still alive or not. If he's still alive, please give us the details so that we can get in touch with him, so we can bring him here.
You also had players from Egypt Lions.
Yes, from Egypt.
Guys, the guy called Mapundu. He's very skilled, very talented. You had players like Peter Agustino. I know those are the guys who I think they played for, Black Aces at some stage. Players like Laban Kandi was our big brother. Used to play Swallows for the Cyril Jennings Hall area. And then you had in the Zimbabwe grounds what we call today Mazigo. Yeah, that was our nurturing ground.
Yeah.
That place, when I can't even go there now because my heart bleeds.
What happened to that place?
Just lack of
Same here. My heart bleeds when I look at Zimbabwe grounds, how they used to look after those grounds and how we used to converge.
Yes.
Like the whole of Harare. The junior
Saturdays,
teams would be knocking out Machibugu trophies, Castle Cup, But there's kids can't play. Yeah.
You'll be destroying them.
Yeah.
The turf was so lush. You could actually do a somersault and fall on your back and not feel a thing. Now I go there isn't even a single blade of grass.
It's bad.
And it's all about local government continuing, with the philosophy of youth development. Because those youth centers played a very important role.
Those youth centers.
It wasn't just for the boys.
My area board.
My
area board. Yes. St. Mary's, St. Mary's area board, Zingeza area board, Sege area board. Okay. And they used to coordinate my junior football from there. Even my kids, they used to have my kids. My kids my team about 8 teams. Over my kids 8. At the difference, my kid my Tambisa. Kana mapedza modzorera kuboard and papatori nemaladies waitowacha those kids ipapo mozotora futi next weekend for the games.
And they used to have retired soccer players as the coaches. Yes. Which actually provided an outlet, an employment, post-career employment outlet for legends. Nowadays that doesn't happen, and most of our legends find themselves on the street because there's nothing to do.
But what happened? Why did that all stop? Because the area boards are still there. The sports officers are still there. So what stopped?
I think the municipalities changed their, what they call raison d'etre, as it were, their reason for being, because local authorities, one of their major tasks was community development
and
recreation. They don't have that anymore. That's no longer an important aspect.
They're just going to bus.
Yeah, okay, the whole thing about they've also gotten rid of the taverns. These were an important source of revenue.
Yes.
for the municipalities. And
municipalities,
most
yeah.
of that was redirected to youth development and so on. And it wasn't just for boys, even for girls. They would have domestic science activities at some of the centers that we, we grew up.
Even those community
playing.
halls as well, they used to have those community halls, community swimming pools.
Yes.
But wakatotanga kutoti it's too much work.
Yeah.
But these zvirizvo zvaitounza futi revenue for the council.
I know one in Highfield, the swimming pool at Mazigo.
At Mazigo, yeah.
We used to call it Gwembe because if you swim there, you'd get a rash, called Gwembe. And now it's the last time I went there, there were stone sculptures, sculpture covers there. And I was like, but this used to be a lively place for young people to go and enjoy themselves. Now it's not there anymore. Where are they going? They'll be going to the bottle stores and hang around the shops, asking for money for drinks or getting engaged in drugs. Yeah,
Because otherwise they would be in the centers, swimming pool, grounds, halls, and everything. But now, yeah.
And it's straightforward. You think that our politicians and local government leaders would understand the importance of recreation for young people, because if you don't provide recreation, what do they do?
What else do you want them to do?
And now you're saying they shouldn't be involved in drugs and so on. That's too late. You should have been there before they got into drugs by providing facilities and programs that engage them and keep them busy.
Exactly, because kumabhodi kweko ndiko kwataiswera. Taiswera tikanotora kiti yedu, taitamba bhora kubva kuma7 makuseni. Tozodzoka kumba kuma5. Zuva radoka munhu wese ari kuground, all the boys. Ukatoona mukomana anga asingaende kubhora. Anenge achitonzizwa uri jenga vasikana. Uda kuswera kubiyo kusina rimwe boys.
Patakakura there was that term kuti asipo haadye.
Yes.
And that was because at our house my mother's policy was, if you're not there at lunchtime,
you don't eat.
There's no food for you.
But you didn't care.
We didn't care because we played, like you're saying, from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. Football was our food.
Let's just go for a break.
Okay.
When we come back, we carry on. We want to know what happened when you left the primary school to high school, and at what level did you start playing at high school as well, and see how you get to be playing for Black Aces in Highfield. Guys, we're just going to go for a break. When we come back, we carry on with Nigel Munyati. He's here taking us through his journey in football. Don't move away. We're back in a moment.
Zaganaka, Aywa, Zaganagana, Aywa, so we don't, so let us send him. Aywa, Jaruga, Bagumira Besu, Mira Bandore, to Mira Bagao, Mira Bandore, to Mira Bagao, Zaganaka, Aywa. Zaganagana, Aywa, Ndagakara ndagutsa, Aujamira we, Abajina jinogunetsa, Anabata wariketsa, Bajina jinogumutsa, Anabata wariketsa, Zaganaka, Aywa, Zaganagana, Aywa, so we don't, so let us send him. Bagumira Besu, Mira Bandore, to Mira Bagao, Mira Bandore, to Mira Bagao, Zaganaka, Aywa, Zaganagana.
Welcome back, In Touch with the Legend. We are in touch with Nigel Munyati, former Black Aces, former Rio Derrick Board, and now the director at Black Aces Academy. I mean, the Black Aces, Aces Academy.
It's just Aces Youth Soccer Academy.
We want to know with the Black Aces busy way.
Yeah, no, we'll get there.
Yeah, we want to know.
It's a continuation.
Yes, yeah. Anyway,
you know, one of the things I wanted to add, you know, one of my pride possessions, unfortunately, because of moving homes a lot, it's got lost now. I used to have a shield of, it was called the Salisbury Junior Football League, under 14 league winners. We won the league in 1974.
And you had it?
I had it, and it always used to be, you know, on the fireplace. I used to place it there. But now it's lost, and I'm hoping one day I'll find it.
I have mine. My favorite one is the Bona League.
Yes.
Under 16.
Yes.
Winners. That one I always have it right in front there.
Yeah. No,
it's always there.
People don't realize how important, you know.
When you are giving these kids medals.
Like that,
Yes. One day they will look back.
Yes. And inspiration.
It's very important. These small tournaments, give them the medals.
Yes.
Give them. They will keep them, and they will tell their grandchildren one day.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, going forward, you went to high school.
Yes. Went to Mazoe Secondary School and played soccer for all the 4 years I was there. And we had a fantastic team. You know, we did very well. I think we went undefeated for like 2 or so seasons. We finally lost in 1975 in the Canada Dry semi-finals. We played Bernard Mizeki.
Yeah.
Yes. And that was war. You know, I think in modern day, you know, approaches, they would probably have stopped and cancelled that match because it was so violent.
Yeah, why? What was going on?
I think it was just poor refereeing and old rivalries that continue.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And you know, in those days, even our coaches were young. Our teachers were young, and they probably had their own rivalries, such that, you know, those rivalries came into the match, such that you even had fights between
the teachers
and students, and it was just chaotic. But in the end, we lost, and that was also my last year at Mazoe. So it kind of ended on a sad note. But when you go back to everything else, it was a beautiful experience that I had at Mazoe Secondary School playing soccer. And then from there, I left Zimbabwe in 1977 to go to the United States. To
what were you doing? Oh, university.
I went to university. And
why didn't you go to University of Zimbabwe?
Well, you know, 2 things.
How did you end up?
This was a time when the war of liberation was really
fierce now at that time.
Getting fierce, yeah. And you know, my mother was not just my mother, my parents were very involved in the politics of liberation. They were both basically amongst the early members of ZANU PF, not ZANU PF, of ZANU, when it was founded in 1963. And so in those days, my mother was involved in collecting clothes to send to the war front. You know, then they used to call it my jeans. They used to collect denim jeans and so on that they send. And she was also quite involved in the political structures, such that you know, they were scholarships that were being offered to Zimbabweans to go abroad. In fact, you know, I always laugh about this because the first opportunity that I had was to go to Ethiopia to train as a pilot.
Okay.
But there were quite a number of applications, and I was only 17 then. So the decision was, no, I'm still too young, let the older boys go. And I always say to some of them who came back that, I could have been your co-captain as a pilot.
You could still be flying the
Yeah,
planes right now.
So I didn't get to go, and then another opportunity came up to go to the States.
Okay.
And this time they said, well, since you didn't go to train as a pilot, you can go to the States. So that's what happened. And I left Zimbabwe. I just turned 17. And I went to America to study. I studied for a degree in food science. Actually,
At which university?
I started off at the University of Missouri.
Okay.
And then I transferred to Pennsylvania State University.
Okay.
Now, this is the story of my football life.
Yeah.
Because, the sponsors, it was an organization called the African American Institute. And in the application process, I think they asked me about my hobbies and what I would like to do. And I mentioned that I love football and I'd like to play football.
Yeah.
So the university that I went to did not have what is called a varsity football team. They had a club team. So when it's a club team, it's not really part of the athletic department structure. Yeah. But we'd go and organize our own matches and play. But surprisingly, after about a year or so, that institute called me and said, Nigel, you had mentioned that you love to play soccer. We found a university that has a varsity team. Would you like to change? And I said, yes. So I changed after a year and a half. I went to Pennsylvania State University. Okay. Yeah. And then I played for the varsity team there. Brilliant experience. I had a wonderful time there. We actually made it to what is called the NCAA championships, the Final Four. We lost in the semifinals. And we managed to beat, what was it, Indiana University, I think. We could have been in the final and maybe been the national championship.
What is impressive about it all is they still have the same structure.
Yeah, they still have them.
To this day. You mentioned the NCAA today. You still get the same structure they used to have, their culture, their tradition, and everything. But for us, we don't even remember the format of the schools, competitions, and everything.
Yeah, and they have a very strong alumni association program. Yeah. I'm still in touch with my school. And we're talking about 40 odd years later.
I know.
We're actually working on something now to send some of our graduates, some of our players to university in America. I'm proud to say, part of what I'll talk about later, the academy philosophy, is that it's a sport and academic institute. Yes. It's not just sport. You have to be doing something academic. And we've managed to produce now boys that are succeeding academically. The results that just came out now, we have 4 players that have passed their A-levels.
Brilliant.
Now they're ready to go to university.
Yeah.
So that's probably moving too fast. But going back to, playing in America. So I played there for 4 years. Now, one of the things that also shaped my life was that during these holidays, the summer break, we don't have it here, but in America, the summer break when university closes, it's almost 3 months long.
3 months long, yeah.
And for them, exactly. For them, their families, because they are well-to-do and so on, they go on holiday, Mexico and so on. We African students, we didn't have that. You stayed and you worked, and you earned a little bit money.
Pocket money, exactly.
For during that summer break. And fortunately for me, because of Penn State's soccer program, they then had what they called the holiday camps.
Yes.
So kids would come to Penn State for, I think it was usually 2-3 week stints. You would have 2 camps. And you're talking about kids maybe from like 8-9 years old until 18. And we'd work with them in the camps and help train soccer skills and so on. And that's where part of my love for working with young people, young players, started. Because I did that for 2 years and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was lovely.
It also paid well, but besides that, I think
you are enjoying it. It's always good to do something that you enjoy and then get paid for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So after the 4 years, I then came back to Zimbabwe. You know, when you finish your university, you have the option of staying for at least another 18 months for you to gain work experience and so on. But that was in 1982, and Zimbabwe had just found independence. And I didn't want to stay in America. I came back. I didn't stay. I immediately came
And
back.
people thought good America.
You know.
But yeah.
So I came back, and I managed to. I missed the grand event when independence actually happened.
Oh, yeah.
So you're coming now, a year or so later, then people are telling you about all the stories about Bob Marley, about comrades coming back, and so on. I missed that, and I wish I had been there. But life is such that you can't have everything, So when I came back, I didn't tell you this about my early childhood. I was a Chibuku Shumba fan.
Oh, okay.
Chibuku Shumba, that was the Highfield team. Exactly. And I even had a problem. Well, not a problem. I got knocked down by a car. Crossing the road, coming from Gwanzura Stadium, going back home. Chibuku had won. And I just rushed across. There's a car coming. Fortunately, there was a traffic jam. So the cars were not going that fast. So I wasn't really injured, other than just a bruise on my shoulder. But that was the passion that we had for football and our teams and so on. So, coming back, Chibuku Shumba no longer existed. I think that was the problem with the community teams, that, it moved from one sponsor to another and so on, until eventually it lost its way. But when I came back, my brother Rodwell, my eldest brother, had been involved with it was now Black Aces.
Black Aces, yeah.
And he used to do their PR and communications. And before I'd even said anything, he says, "You are not going to play for any other team besides
Black Aces."
Black Aces.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big ask for me, because it's something I would have probably done anyway.
Yeah.
When we grew up, then, if you were from Highfield, you supported Chibuku Shumba. If you were from Bare, you supported Dynamos. And you had a few traitors here and there, but essentially that's what it was. Teams like Caps and so on, they didn't really feature then. They only came into the picture later. But in the old days, it was Dynamos, Chibuku Shumba, there was Mangura United, there was, Sables, and it was a really, exciting time. Anyway, I then joined Black Aces, and I played for Black Aces for a very short time, because I had appendicitis, which had been giving me a problem for more than 4 years. From the time I was in high school, I used to have pain in my stomach, to the extent that I used to come home a lot, and I actually developed a profile of someone who hates being in school, because I used to come home so often, and the doctors would look at my stomach, they'd say there's nothing.
There's nothing.
And so people used to think I'm faking being sick. Anyway, I went to America. The problem got even worse then. But they did all kinds of tests. I go into hospital, they do all kinds of tests. I remember my teammates even starting to make fun of me, because they'd say, well, maybe he's got a funny African disease that they don't know. Because if you go to the hospitals and they can't, establish what your problem is, which still baffles me, because appendicitis is a normal, illness that can be dealt with quite easily. Anyway, it didn't get diagnosed, and it wasn't treated until I came back. And I'd say maybe about 2 or 3 months after I came back, it burst. My appendix burst, and I had to be admitted into hospital right away and operated within 24 hours. I remember my doctor saying to me, "You were this close to dying."
Yes.
So I went in, they operated on me. I had tubes that went through my nose into my stomach, cavity, and it was draining all this green fluid, because what had happened is when it bursts, it then infects all your stomach cavity, and that's what can kill you. So I was in hospital for quite a while, I think for 2 or so months. I eventually came out, but you know how it is. Recuperation takes a while, of that nature. So I think it took me a good 6 to 8 months to really say I'm now fully recovered. And then you want to try and train. I'm just come from America, I have a degree, I decided for now, I won't worry about soccer.
Let me focus on.
I focus on my degree and getting employment. I got employed initially by Chibuku Breweries, and then I joined Dairy Board, and I rose quite quickly within the Dairy Board system. I joined Dairy Board when I was about 20 years, and by 21 I was a manager. What had happened at Dairy Board then was that not long after independence, there was a mass exodus of whites. Most of the staff, they were Afrikaner, they all went to South Africa. So there was a huge void left at Dairy Board. And I and quite a number of other young Zimbabweans who had just come back from university, found ourselves in management positions quite early. So I became, someone who was a trainee kind of person, and that meant going to the various dairy boards. Then I think he had 5 dairies around the country: Harare, Bulawayo, Gweru, Mutare, Chipinge, and so on. So I was doing all of that orientation. There was no time
for football.
Yeah, and then when I finished the orientation, I then was made the manager of the new dairy board plant in Chipinge.
Oh.
The one where the sterilized milk in plastic bottles.
Oh, okay.
That's the plant that I actually managed. In fact,
the aluminium foil.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, that one.
Yes. And it actually involved.
Why do I want to special?
It was very special. Oh, yeah. I'm happy that
sterilized milk. Yes, that one.
And that also involved me going to Amsterdam, Holland, for 3 months.
Okay.
For training and so on. So again, I was away from Zimbabwe, the Zimbabwe football scenario for a while. But while in Chipinge, managing that, I actually started a team, Chipinge United, dairy board, and it played in the, the local leagues and so on. And so, I then came back to Harare after about 18 months in Chipinge. I then came back to the Harare Dairy. The Harare Dairy is the largest. It employed then 1,100 staff. So I came in as the assistant regional manager. Now, that was the time when Rio Tinto, well, before that, as now I'm in Harare Dairy Board, I thought, I like soccer. So I played for the Dairy Board team.
The Dairy Board team, yes.
Yeah, coached by Kremio Mapfumo, and it played in, Division 1, and, I should tell you a story before I got away from football. And one of the reasons why I moved into admin much quicker.
Yeah.
Playing for Chibuk Black Aces. We had a match. By the way, I had teammates like Archford Chimtanda.
I forgot to ask that. Who was playing at that time?
Bonima Kuruzo, Maronga Nyangela, Moses Chasweka, all of the guys that you see now, most of them. It's fun, I see them now, they're all Madalas coaching and so on. But we were young then, we were in our early 20s. It was a fun time. Now we had a match against Supersonic in Bulawayo.
Anatito Paket.
Yes, and there was a young man called Boyman. It's Boyman, Mangama or Boyman.
I've forgotten that name.
You know. So here we are. We're told we have a match in Bulawayo, so we're supposed to leave on Saturday. We meet at Machipisa Shopping Center. That's where we would get the bus. Now, I actually had a car. So I drove.
Was it Boys Malunga?
Yes, boys.
The Boys Malunga.
Yeah, it was Boys
Yes,
Malunga.
Boys Malunga.
Boys Malunga is someone else who was in business.
Yes, and I know Boys Malunga
Boys
is Super
Malunga,
Sport.
yes. So, I even drove my car. I had my girlfriend take the car back. Now I'm waiting. We're supposed to leave at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock comes, no bus. 4 o'clock, no bus. 5 o'clock, no bus. Around 5:30, then one of the administrators, the club administrators, comes and says, no, the bus thing is not working. Now we're going to have to go and take the chicken bus to Bulawayo. Really, this dream of being in a bus by yourselves as a team, and having come from America, that's how we used to travel, and sometimes we'd even fly. So that's kind of thing I was kind of expecting. Now we're going to climb into these buses with everybody else. This bus stopped in Norton, it stopped in Chegutu, it stopped in Kadoma, and then you've got people coming selling Masai, Nepa window, and here I am. I'm like, no, this is not.
Me, I'm coming from America.
But anyway, I'm like, okay, let's see how it goes. Eventually got to, was it Kwekwe? Now, because of all those stops, by the time we got to Kwekwe, I think it was like 9-10 p.m.
Yeah.
So again, management decided we can't continue. We have to stop and sleep. But because of financial issues and so on, there wasn't enough money to book accommodation.
Yeah.
So they ended up getting us into some hotel, but in the back of this hotel, in a way, they got 2 rooms for us, and I remember us sleeping, I think we were like 4 to a bed, 2 on this side. And I was like, no. Anyway, get up, get out, get another bus now from Kwekwe to Bulawayo.
No.
Get into Bulawayo, I'd say about an hour before the match, if that. Now we have to find a combi from the rank to the stadium. That process takes another. By the time we got to the stadium, there was no time for anything else other than to change and get onto the pitch. We lost, was it 5-2 or something like that? And this young man, he said his Boys Malunga. He was a star. I mean, he danced all over us. We were so tired. I mean, we didn't lose because we were a bad team. We were just so tired because we never got enough sleep. And after that, I actually said, this is it for me. I don't want to play. So I stopped playing. But the passion was still there.
Yeah.
While at Dairy Board now, this was the time when Rio Tinto decided they were moving out of football. But they didn't want to make an abrupt close because they had players who were employees that they needed to look after. So they decided to do a phased exit from football. And they approached us. And they said, you know what? You've got a Division 1 club. We can help you move into
the Premier League.
Into Premier League by partnering with us. And we said, fantastic, Then the management said, Nigel, you're the one who likes football. Why don't you be part of this administration?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So what we did was Rio Tinto's chairman and I became the co-chair of Rio. That's how Rio Dairy.
Oh, so you were chairperson with Rio Dairy Board at that time.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
I was 24 years old.
Is it?
Yes. So I always say to people, I actually am probably the youngest ever chairman of any.
I only remember one game at Rio Dairy Board when did you win or you lost? Ragwe is gonna Baron Emmanuel. I don't remember against Dynamos. Was it a win or a loss? My memory.
Probably a win.
I think it lost.
No.
Did you win? Any trophy? I think it was like a 2-1 or 2. You lost to Dynamos. I think Dynamos later on equalized.
Okay.
I think Byron Emmanuel scored from a corner. He scored. Yeah, I used to go to these finals.
Right.
I don't think Marapina final.
No, it wasn't much.
You should remember that final. Yeah.
So then
At 24, you were chairman of a Premier League team.
Yeah.
Wow.
Super
League at that time.
Super League.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the relationship didn't last long. I think after the 2 years, Rio Tinto then pulled out, and Dairy Board unfortunately was never really financially committed to football. So there was no way we could replace the kind of money Rio Tinto was putting into football. So after that, we lost. And what also compromised the Rio Dairy Board arrangement was that a lot of players did not come into the Rio Dairy Board structure. That's when we lost a lot of players to, I think a lot of them went to the president's team.
Tornadoes.
To Tornadoes.
Anana John Piri.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was no longer a strong team that Rio Tinto used to be. So we did not.
Ernest Makosa's.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know Ernest Makosa. I used to know Ernest Makosa as a little boy. Very talented. Good body.
Yeah. And very bossy.
Yeah.
Very bossy.
It's a pity we lost him. And it's got who's Ernest Makosa's son. I only found out recently.
Cuthbert Malajila.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I
know Cuthbert, but from a different perspective. Next time I see him, I'm going to say, hey, I used to know
he is actually Ernest Makosa's son.
Yeah. Life. It's the same thing like with the current Zifa CEO, Yvonne Mapika. His head dad, rather, used to play for Rio Dairy Board.
Is it?
Godi Mapika.
Oh.
Yes. Again, because Godi was employed at Dairy Board and used to play for Dairy Board. So I know, her father from the Rio Dairy Board days. Yeah.
Small world.
Very small world.
Always.
Yeah.
Let's just go for a break. When we come back, we get into the last segment of In Touch with the Legend. Yes, we are in touch with Nigel Munyati. He is here telling us about his interesting journey in football. He became the chairman of Rio Dairy Board. Rio Dairy Board was a very popular club for those that followed football. Yes, Piri Piri, Byron Emmanuel, and a lot of top players as well. But we're going to talk more about Nigel Munyati when we come back for the last segment of In Touch with the Legend. Don't move away. We are back in a moment.
The pain is not on the day of missing our dear ones. The pain is really when you live without them and with their presence in your mind. But there is always a friend that will stand by you in those times.
A friend that holds you close. A friend that can put a smile on your face even in times of mourning.
Munyati,
Umdudus,
the comforter,
Sawira Mukuru, Umgani Omkuru.
Every day we celebrate the love shared,
the smiles shared, the journey endured together, the burdens made lighter. Sawira Wemuri, Umgani Wemuri,
Sawira Mukuru,
Tofamba newe, nawe uhamba nathi.
Nyaradzo, Sawira Mukuru.
Umngane
In Touch with the Legend, we are back for the last segment with Nigel Munyati. Off air, we were just talking about the development long back. But For someone like me, ndakakura ndichitoziva Vitalis Takawira from under 14 Dynamos, under 16, achitamba mu reserve side, kunopinda mu first team. We used to go watch my games by 10 o'clock. Take at home stadium. Tiona bora throughout.
Yes.
But today, ukapinda mu Rufaro stadium na 10 to 3. My players, there will be nothing from morning until 3 o'clock.
Yeah, that's one of the tragedies of the football system in Zimbabwe. The ecosystem has collapsed. And we're trying to rebuild it, albeit with a lot of challenges. But it's important to go back and understand what used to happen.
Yeah.
A lot of what you mention about those players that you know from when they were under 13s and so on, that was the whole junior development program that was in place then. It's not there now, and I'm hoping, I keep talking to the current technical director and impressing on him the need for a junior development program.
Yeah, I'm sure when you played, you also had the same systems going through.
Yes, I remember playing in Gwanzura Stadium when I was 10, 11, 12 years old.
Yes. It's a big thing for a young boy.
And you'd start around 10 o'clock. We play the under 13s, the under 16s play around 11 o'clock, under 18s play around 12, and then you would have the reserve team
side at 1:15.
Yeah, and then the senior team. So there was a whole series of entertaining matches that made you want to go to the match early. Now you don't have any of that. So that's why someone gets into the stadium at 10 to 3. Because that's really, there's nothing to come early for. That's where our football administrators are failing to appreciate the importance of the development program. It's not just for the sake of helping players, but also for creating entertainment in football. Football is entertainment. But right now our football is not entertainment.
And
it's
also
work.
enticing a whole lot more people. Like if I'm playing for the under 15s for Cape United, the interest for that match, I've got my cousins, I've got my sisters, I've got my brothers, my parents, and everybody. They will come and watch that game. The whole street.
Yes.
They will come and watch me. But at the same time, they will sit for the
main
match. But if madroka zanenga akasiyana akawanda from kwese ugonenge vanhu under 14, under 16, under 18 reserve idroka for a lot of people who will later on sit on to watch the first team. So it's not just like development of players, it's also creating fan bases for the clubs.
Understanding that football is entertainment. That's why in Europe and elsewhere, football is big business, but we still behave here in the opposite manner. Football doesn't really matter, it's not that important. And that's why you end up with 2,000 spectators in a 30,000 seater stadium.
It's really sad.
But one thing that is also important is that when you play in a stadium, in a big stadium in your teens, when you are 12, 14, 16, something happens to you as a player. Such that when you're now an adult and you are playing, that stage fright is not there anymore because it's natural for you to be playing there. Nowadays, a lot of our players, I can tell you, if you were to do a survey, probably find that most of your players probably played in Rufaro, the National Sports Stadium, when they were 25 for the first time. So already you've got a 10-year gap between us when we grow up and them in terms of experiencing,
big
that
crowd.
kind of pressure.
Especially when you actually play for the under 18s or for the reserve side.
Exactly. And they know you. They know you. Whereas now, I was talking about this the other day. A lot of your national team players, I don't know them. Whereas in the olden days, you would know them from when they were 13, 14 years old.
National team.
And so on. Yes, now that's not there. And that is, again,
even the under 20 national team Super League.
Yes.
Already.
And we still have a philosophy here that the older you are, the better a player you are. You know, I don't believe
Hans
in that.
experience.
Look at what's happening everywhere else. You've got Lamine Yamal at 17. You've got Saka, who's also probably 18, 19 now. You know, and these are the youngsters who are turning the whole philosophy of football upside down. You know,
Anyway.
we're still in the dark ages.
Yeah. We'll get there. We hope now with the new dispensation coming through. We'll get there. Anyway, so from the dismantlement of the Nigrigini, the marriage
of Rio Deribod,
and
unfortunately it only
Rio
lasted
Tinto
a
and
couple of
Terbo.
years, and then afterwards it then got dissolved. So I then made focus on my career as a in the corporate world. Until 1998. When Eduardo Ricardo, who was then the chairman of Black Aces, died suddenly.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Mozambique with,
exactly.
With malaria, cerebral malaria or something. Yeah.
So after he passed away, one day while I was in my office, I was running my own business. Then I got a delegation from Black Aces Football Club, and they said, Mr. Munyati, you're a son of Black Aces, and you're doing well in business, and our chairman has just passed away. Can you step in and fill in as his replacement? Now, knowing football and how things work in my previous experience, I wasn't willing to jeopardize my professional career in business, such that I said, yeah, I will, but just to see the year out, because I think he died, early in 1998. So I agreed, and then became the chairman of Black Aces. I think I was 28 years old then. And when I then joined the team, who do I find as the coach? Mark Duvillard.
Mark Duvillard. Okay, yes.
So Mark Duvillard was now the coach, and I was the chairman.
Okay.
And we just developed a very good relationship.
That's where the relationship came about. Okay, yeah.
So we worked together, and we were proud winners of the BP Cup in 1998. And we had a very young team. I think they are on average about 19, 20 years old. With players like Patrick Daka, Ngobizita, my memory, lets me down because there's going to be a lot of guys who are saying, "How come you didn't mention me?" But it was a very good team.
David Sengu wasn't part of that.
David Sengu, Tinashe, Nengomasha, all of those guys.
Tapua Kapini.
Tapua, yes. And so after winning that, there was euphoria and all that. But I then at the end of the season, I said to the administrators, you know what? I said I would only be with you for this year.
Yeah.
And I meant it. I think I've done what I've done. I've achieved. We've won the BP Cup, something that Black Aces hadn't done in a long time. I'm done. Thank you very much. I have to focus on my work. But in the meantime, Mark and I had always had this conversation, about young players and working with young people. And so we proved with that team that young players can actually be successful. So we say to each other, this was very good. Why don't we take this to its natural beginning, working with young people and creating a football academy. So that's how the Aces Youth Soccer Academy was established.
And you decided to remove black?
Yes, because it wasn't part of Black Aces.
Oh, it wasn't part of, no. Okay, all right.
It was from people who had a relationship with
Black Aces. So it was separate from Black Aces. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we eventually got it established and registered in 2001.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's been a very, very beautiful journey.
Yeah, and that academy has produced
Yes.
a lot of top players to the national team.
Exactly.
It was a very big feeder.
It is.
the national team.
First of all, we pioneered junior development, second phase after what we grew up with.
Yes,
now this
yes.
was the new phase
Yes.
of junior development. And like you say, we've made a lot of contribution to the national team. I'd say since 2010, our academy has been the single largest contributor of talent to the national team.
I agree.
All teams.
All teams.
The senior team, the under 20s, under 17s, the women's teams as well. The team, the Mighty Warriors team that went to the Rio Olympics in 2016 had 5 girls from our academy. Now it's different because there's been a proliferation of
teams,
academies, which I actually like. Some people would find it a negative thing to say, I'm getting all these are taking players and challenging. No. It's actually good. The more you have, the better.
Yeah. And what pains me a lot is some people that actually come and criticize the academies. You're talking about that second phase. They filled in a gap that was very big. That was a huge gap that was left in Zimbabwean football. And these academies came in and filled in that gap and actually kept Zimbabwean football going. But then you find the academies, they are not even proper academies. Hey, what is the meaning of academy? What? Academy must have this, academy must have that. So these are not academies. Hey, they must just call them junior football club. I look at these guys and think, really, this academy, like you're saying, they've done a lot for Zimbabwean football over the years.
And the thing is, you ask a question, what's in a name? So what?
So
what? I have 2 soccer balls and a pitch without any grass. I'm helping those youngsters understand the fundamentals of football. Maybe one day they'll go and be part of something else, but at least I have done my part. So people must never criticize, because there's a lot of passion in our people. And, we must allow that passion to manifest itself in supporting our football. Because if you have to take that same argument to your PSL clubs today, very few of them, maybe now they might just be meeting the FIFA requirements for being a legally structured, football association and football club. You've got the FIFA, what do they call it now?
Licensing requirements.
The FIFA, yes. Most of them don't meet those requirements.
They don't.
How many of our PSL clubs today have clubhouses?
They don't have a lot.
A lot of that, you've got clubs that are still operating out of the boot of their car, And I'm not criticizing just for the sake of criticizing. I'm actually saying that is where we're coming from. And the sooner we accept that we have got these problems and make efforts to try and shape things in a much better way, the better and the faster we will move. The problem with our football goes back, quite a way. There was a lot of problems with our football, I would say, 20 years ago or so, a lot of which, then ended up with things like Asia Gate. There was a lot of lack of governance in our football. And what ended up happening is that the corporate world started football.
Pulling away.
They moved away from football. And that is because of the reports that they kept reading about our football, money being misused, things not being done properly. And corporates were saying, we cannot attach our brand to this kind of behavior because it will tarnish our brand. And you can't blame them. So I think things are getting better now. And I'm hoping that more and more corporates will start to come back to football.
That's the only way football can go.
Because without resources, what can they do? And the unfortunate thing is we've run our football on the basis of individually owned entities. you can't. And those individuals usually end up relying on gate takings as their source of revenue. You look at it globally. Gate takings are not what keeps, Arsenal or Manchester United going. It's the investment and the sponsorship.
Yeah.
And that's where we are lacking. We don't have the adequate amount of investment. Someone has a few $1,000s and they think they can start a club and run a club. And you will find that, that is not how it works. You cannot operate a club on a shoestring budget. It doesn't work.
Yeah, we hope things are going to change. So what's the situation at Black Aces, right? No, not Black Aces. Aces Academy. Because like we said, you have produced a lot players to the national team.
Right.
What is the current situation? Are we still looking forward to a lot more national team footballers from Aces Academy?
Yeah, I mean, when you ask questions about the academy, my heart warms.
I see you smiling.
Yes, because that's my passion. I see the talent that we have. Right now, we've got so much talent in the under 19 team, for example, that 60% of them could easily be national team material.
Yeah.
Whether it's at under 17, under 19, under 20, under 23 level, or the senior national team. This past year, one of our young graduates, Alan Chapinduka, was nominated the most promising young player.
Yeah.
He's at TEL 1, and he only left the academy in February. So up until February last year, he was still with the academy.
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, I have 4 or 5 players that are good enough to join clubs in the PSL. One of my problems right now is having to fend off calls from clubs who want some of my players. I'm saying, no, boy is still in high school.
Yeah.
And I don't want to disrupt that. I know you played while you were in high school.
Yeah.
And it didn't affect your career negatively. So it's actually very positive. So I actually hope we can do more of that. But some of the problems that I have is that some of the clubs that want my players are not in Harare.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, if you're in Harare,
now that becomes a problem.
Because I don't want my players to stop
going to school.
To me, that's very, very important. This is an issue that we also need to talk. Sorry,
no, you can carry on. Yeah.
The importance of education.
Yeah.
By the time you're 32, 33, there are a few exceptions. I was watching one player yesterday, plays for Benfica, who came in. He's now 36 years old, and he came in as a substitute. Those are the rare ones. Most players, by the time you're 32, 33, your career is over.
Yeah.
And most of our
especially
players,
here in Africa.
Yeah, most of our players have not prepared for life after football. And you find that they end up being destitute. And I remember we had a case of what was his name? National team captain was now washing cars in South Africa. He's late now.
Wow,
so Francis Shona. That breaks my heart. Why do we have situations like that?
But I think that was also a little bit exaggerated.
Oh, really? Okay.
Washing cars? No.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't. He was doing an Uber.
Okay.
He was now he was doing with his car. He registered for Uber.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of people actually do, even those that are actually in good jobs. It's extra money for if you register your car for Uber when you are free. You can actually do Uber.
Okay.
So that's what he was doing, and then
so why were people reporting that?
No, people people always, and even Stuart angambe ngakunzizo anza kuthengisa ama CD ku park station. A lot of people exaggerate. I think a lot of people feed on the negative aspect when people retire. But I like what you're saying now. At the academy now, you are promoting that so that you already put them in their head that there is life after football. Even when he is still starting, when he is starting his career, he should already know that there is life after football, which is quite
And
very
you know what?
important.
I like what you're doing. You're actually showing that I can create a new career for myself after football.
Yeah.
And it's very diverse. It's still within sport, but you're doing a lot of things, which
Yeah.
I think, if others could look at it, and it's not just for sport, you could go into a completely different
Yeah.
field altogether. One of the things that I do is I'm also the founder of the Zimbabwe International Film Festival Trust,
Wow.
which is basically about promoting film development and teaching aspiring young filmmakers how to make films. Now, my boys, those who are now out of school, they are now taking filmmaking classes.
Yeah, it's,
know.
it's about that having that
Yeah.
innovative mind.
And it's not that you want to be a filmmaker or
Yeah.
whatever, but at least having the skill. You can do something that is film related, and someone might even decide. I know one of the boys used to say, "I want to be an actor." I said, "Yeah, why not? You can be an actor."
And football can be a platform.
Schwarzenegger was a weightlifter,
Yeah,
and he became an actor and a very successful one. So
it's possible.
It is possible, and that's the kind of thinking we need to now inculcate in our youngsters growing up.
Tell me something. Something that I had forgotten. You once contested for a seat in the
Very
in
topical.
in the Zifa board.
Yes.
You actually contested for the chairmanship position, and you didn't win it. How was the experience then? And why haven't you decided to go at it again? Because you just did it once, and that was it. What was the experience?
I didn't just win, not win rather. I did not get a single vote. And someone will say, yes, he's made records. And I'm like, yes, I'm proud of it.
Very.
Do you know why?
Very.
Because I told all the councillors that I will not pay you for your vote. Vote for me because you believe that I have a contribution that can make our football get better.
It could have.
And it could have. But everybody wanted money. I remember someone
when looking at your administrative record now, what you have done, and it could have.
It would have. I mean, some of the things that I see now, I'm like, we could have done those things 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And we implemented them. Everybody, I look at all these manifestos, people saying, I will do this for football. That's what I was saying 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And we didn't do it. So we lost out. But
you kept your integrity intact.
Yes, that is what is important. And that's what saddens me about this whole thing. You'd have thought that after the suspension of ZIFA and the establishment of the Normalization Committee, we would have a different ZIFA now and a different approach to elections. But nothing has changed. And I'm told now, councillors are asking for money. They're being paid $150, $400, $500. I've been told now some are being promised even large amounts of money. This is the corruption that is killing our football. And unfortunately, it hasn't gone away. So it's, I guess it's part of our human nature as Zimbabweans. I don't know. But we need to get rid of it.
So why haven't you
I done it now? Now I believe that I can be of service to my nation at a higher level. Okay. I'm on the Sports and Recreation Commission, which is the mother body of all sports associations.
Yes.
And my being as ZIFA president, lucrative financially, but in terms of contribution to the national sport development efforts, I am doing more now, and it would be stepping down. To come down to the level. Not that I'm saying, it's not important. It is great. I think football is a very important sport, and one that globally, has a lot of influence on society.
Yeah.
So, I would still like to be involved in football at some level. I'm due to end my term soon at the SRC, and after that I'm hoping that I can do other things in football. One of the things that I'm working on now is a project to extend the academy into a much bigger institution.
Okay, yeah.
A sport and academic institution where we actually, right now we send our players out to schools and so on. I'd actually want to have my own school in the academy. So they go to school, they don't have to Travel.
Or like what they do with the South African Transnet School of Excellence.
Exactly.
Brilliant place.
Yeah. So I'm hoping I can do something like that. And maybe that would be a very nice way of ending my career.
Thank you so much. What I like about the election thing, when he said you did it, you didn't decide to pay anybody, you kept your integrity, and you are okay with, you actually learned something from it. I remember this Ghanaian philosopher was saying, that's the way to go if you want to grow. Get into an election, never mind you win or lose, even if you don't get any vote, but the fact that you have entered, you are ahead of a whole lot of others who didn't enter.
Yeah.
So it's actually good, and you actually grow from there. You learn your lessons from there, and you do things differently to get it, or you learn that you kept your integrity. But I like that. So for me, I think that was really great. But coming back to that, did any of them actually come forward to you, like the councillors, to actually say, I want money. If you want me to vote for you, give me some money?
I will give you two examples. One was one of the very, popular persons in football. Was based out of Harare, in Chiredzi, actually. I sent them my, my manifesto, and saying, can I, get your support? I got a call back from them, and says, Nigel, Chiredzi kunopisa, kupisa kuti dai wandipo kana Coca-Cola so kuti ndimbotonhorera. I just said, oh, okay. Thank you very much. If I don't do that, and if I can't get your vote because of that, that's okay. And then another gentleman, elderly gentleman, is late now. I actually met with him, and we spent maybe an hour or so talking, me explaining my manifesto and what I would like to do for football. Very nice old man. We had a very good relationship.
Yeah.
Afterwards, we parted, and then he called me in the evening. Says, Munyati, munoziva paipe patataura zvanga zvisingangoita kuti ndikutaurirei. Zvese zvatataura zvamamutaura ndinozvifarira chaizvo, and that's what our football needs. But inini, for the past 3 years, mhuri yangu iri kuchengetwa navaDhube. And imi muri kutaura kuti mukange mapinda muchinzvimbo hamusi kuzotipa chinhu. Ndikasapota imimi ndapinza mhuri yangu munzara. I just said, Minoza Baba, I understand, and if that is what is important for you, it's okay. I understand. Actually, it was very, very sad, because you could feel that it touched him. He really would have wanted to support me.
Yeah.
But financially, he is indebted to this man, and he cannot just turn things around overnight, unless if I'm replacing what he is
getting from
it. So, yeah, and there's a lot more. There's a whole lot more. Someone would call you and say, so-and-so is just left here, and you know what? He gave me so much. So, you said you want to come and meet me. Bring the money, then we can talk. Then I'd say, no, thank you very much. I don't think I would like to get your vote on that basis. And honestly,
So basically, that's how you lost vote.
Yeah. I would have been very unhappy with myself if I won, knowing that I paid someone to give me their vote. I would not have been comfortable with that. That's just me, my personality, my constitution. That's what makes me who I am today.
Hey. Anyway, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
What I really hope is that School of Excellence. It was good to have you on the show. It was good to know who Nigel Munyati is, where you came from, and all the administrative and playing experience that you have had. We now know. When we see Nigel Munyati, we know where he's coming from. Guys, this was Nigel Munyati, who was here talking and taking us through his footballing journey. Let's meet again next week when we bring you another Zimbabwe footballing legend to come here and share with us their footballing journey. My name is Alois Bunjira. Nyatazo Group was powering this show right here at St. Julian Pub and Crew. Cheers, guys. Until we meet next week.